What's up, my D&D family? Today I have a build for you. This build was inspired by watching the new D&D movie, Among Thieves. In that movie, there is a Paladin, total baller, and he really inspired me to take another look at the Ancients Paladin subclass. And you know what? I was surprised to find that I didn't fully understand the Ancients Paladin despite the fact I thought I did. And that's what really this build is about. It's to explore the power level that you can reach as an Ancients Paladin and some of the niches it offers that none of the other Paladins give you. So today I bring to you the Witch Hunter. Now for my Witch Hunter, I'm going to be an Earth Genasi. First off, it's an Earth Genasi mixed with an Ancients Paladin, so they're both Earth and Nature related, so I like that synergy there. But it's also going to get us into our tanking identity far quicker. The Ancients Paladin is known to be a tankier than normal Paladin, however, the tanking options really come on later, where we can get into that identity quicker with Earth Genasi's bonus action, Blade Ward. Not only that, Earth Genasi is going to let us ignore difficult terrain if it's on the ground, which is fantastic for any melee character. And on top of that, it's going to really enable us to actually stealth with our party. That's constantly a problem for Paladins. Earth Genasi really takes care of that with Pass Without Trace. Now, as for our stat line, we are going to be a normal Paladin stat line. Strength, Charisma, Constitution. And we are very stat hungry with this build, so we're going to want to be taking those ASI stats as often as possible, really only taking a feat if it's a half feat and we have an odd number. Now, the Ancients Paladin has several class identities, but I think that most people know some of the class identities but don't realize other ones. And that's how I'm going to organize this video, is into class identities. We'll start with each one and kind of move through. The first identity is a tank. We come with the spell like Stone Skin, which makes us resistance to a whole bunch of damage. But we also have features like Undying Sentinel, so this kind of leans us towards being a tank, and that is very well known. But what isn't very well known is that we make fantastic duelists. Why? Well, it comes from the Ensnaring Strike, Wrathful Smite combo. Both of these are bonus actions to set up. One targets Strength, one targets Wisdom. When they hit, both have really debilitating effects. And not only do they have debilitating effects, they also, in order to get rid of them after the initial save, require a skill check, not a save. So even if your enemy has proficiency in the saving throw that you target, after the initial check, they no longer can use that proficiency. And there are very few creatures in the entire game who aren't threatened by either Wrathful Smite or Ensnaring Strike. That is a deadly combination that makes us a threat to any single target. And now we can see that we're going to often be using our bonus action to set up our attack. So what I'm going to do as far as our weapons go is take a sword and board, shield and sword, and then I'm going to take the dueling fighting style. So mathematically, that's basically taking our D8 weapon and changing it to a D12 weapon while allowing us to still use a shield. Incredibly threatening. So there you go. We are now a duelist, but what else are we? We're also a great mage slayer. In between Ensnaring Strike and Aura of Warding, we have options for mages. We have resistance to any damage they can deal to us, and Ensnaring Strike is brutal for mages. They have terrible strength saves, so they're going to fail it all the time. Once it's failed, what are they going to do? Use their strength check to get out of it for their action? That's a terrible debilitation, and while they have it, they can't move, and they're going to have advantage on every attack against them, so it makes it so they can't run from you, you can just beat on them. Speaking of teleports, we also come with Misty Step, so it's very difficult to escape us as well. We can use our bonus action to get up close and pressure them in melee range. Now with those as our primary playstyles, we also come with a lot of like niche situations that we just are kind of overpowered in. We do bonus damage to undead and fiends with our smites by being a paladin, so we have that niche. We can turn Fae and fiends with our channel divinity, so we have that niche. With plant growth is a phenomenal fight-winning spell in a very particular situation. But in the situation you're facing a large, grounded creature on plants, pretty dang niche, what you can do is, if you think about the grid, if a large creature takes up a 2x2 square, you make one of the squares in that 2x2 square the difficult terrain. All the other ones don't have to be. So you and your party can move in the 3 that aren't difficult terrain, and the one that is difficult terrain is going to really, and I mean really, hinder the movement of a large creature. It makes it a 4th. So if they have a 30-foot movement speed, they now have a 5-foot movement speed. It's brutal. So anyways, it's an incredible fight-winning spell that doesn't require concentration, doesn't hurt your teammates whatsoever, but it is very, very niche, and we're seeing a lot of those niches with this paladin, and then the accumulation of those makes us a little bit more consistent. But we also combine that with a consistent playstyle, so it all comes together quite nicely. You can't talk about Paladin without talking about Fine Steed, and we have some awesome synergy with our Fine Steed. First off, by being an Earth Genasi, we come with Blade Ward. That works with our Fine Steed. By casting Blade Ward, we both get resistance to damage. That buff comes on really quick and is really nice. We also come with Misty Step, which works with our Fine Steed, so we can have a teleporting horse. Awesome. The next one up is Stone Skin. We can give resistance to ourselves as well as our horse, so we have a lot of different options to buff both us and our horse, while it increases our mobility further making us a more powerful striker. And with Aura of Warding, our horse is more resistant to spells than any other horse. That's a huge weakness of most horses. We kind of buffer that a bit. The next thing I love about the Ancients Paladin is their bonus action lineup is fantastic. We have Misty Step, we have Wrathful Smite, Ensnaring Strike. And now we have Blade Ward since we took Earth Genasi. We're always going to have a solid bonus action for the situation, which makes it so we really don't need to worry about, Polearm Master or going out of our way trying to fill up our bonus actions. We can just rely on the dueling fighting style mixed with smites, mixed with the spells we're casting to really make our damage output threatening at the same time as us being very well protected. So at the end of the day, what I didn't realize about the Ancients Paladin that I now recognize and really respect is the fact that they are incredible duelists. That doesn't make us perfect. Like all builds, we're going to have weaknesses. Range is a particular weakness with this build. Almost everything we do is in melee range, javelins being the only exception. This really informs how important Find Steed is for us to be able to get into melee as soon as possible. We also struggle with crowds. We're great in one-on-one combat. If there's one enemy that's a threat, we're great at pressuring them. If we have a horde coming at us, plant growth is our best option, and it's not going to always be there for us. And so that is definitely one of our weaknesses. Now what I'd love to hear from you guys is creative ideas for an Ancients Paladin. Make it as awesome as possible, both flavorful or just powerful. Let me know in the comments down below. If you're interested in supporting the channel as well as getting some awesome benefits along the way, consider checking out our Patreon. But with that, my friends, I hope you have yourselves an incredible day, and I'll catch you on the next one. See you then.